ICU, forgotten stent, sepsis. The second is an abscess related to stone blocking the infundibulum. So case 1, obese female stented for 18 months, delayed because of ICU admission, multiple stones in the kidney, accumulative diameter of 40 millimeter, encrusted stent. She was lost to follow-up, so really quite complicated. And essentially, she was lost, she had sepsis, so we really didn't know, and I thought this will be a very good test of the suction scope. So here you can see she's an obese female, you can see the stones almost like a partial staghorn, and she's got a stent which is encrusted. So when we had that, our first challenge was to try and check whether we can do it retrogradely or whether she would need a PCNL type procedure. In the end, we did decide to go retrogradely because I thought it is possible, but otherwise we would have had a backup of doing a PCNL if it didn't work. So this, you can see an encrusted stent on this side. We use a 7.5 Pearson scope with suction capability via an access sheath. The reason for using an access sheath was because I knew there'd be a lot of encrustations. So you can see we start with the bladder, fully encrusted bladder end. We had to really, so here my trainee Victoria, she started off using the laser fiber, and I normally for mild incrustations just balance it on a ureteric catheter, and we are trying to laser and get the stent decrusted effectively to remove it. Once we do that, the rest of the stent was also encrusted, so we had a job to trying to remove the whole stent. Once the stent was removed, that's when the real quality of the suction scope came in handy, because you can see that it's a long time it took us to completely decrust. Then we got the stent out. Here you can see the initial view. There's from the Pearson suction scope. Now there's a lot of debris. The advantage of using suction is you can just suck out all the debris rather than having to syringe it manually from time to time. And you can see there's a lot of debris I'm just sucking out using my thumb and index finger essentially. Once the debris clears, you will see that there is a big stone blocking the infundibulum, not an easy angle. And then our job was to A, do the surgery efficiently, B, do the surgery in a timely manner, but try to avoid sepsis. And with the suction scope, because you can go quickly, you can see the snow globe that you get when you are lasering is also minimized. So as I am lasering, you can do intermittent suction, because intermittently the fluid will come and you're sucking out. So what it does is it clears the view, and the view is maintained for a lot longer. You're not as worried about temperature or pressure for that matter, because you are intermittently sucking, but you are sucking very softly, so you're not collapsing the system, because sometimes, and that will come with time, if you've done 1 or 2 cases, then you know where to stop. So you're sucking it intermittently, but you're not sucking enough to kind of suck the whole system in. And then you start your lasering. So I normally start with a dusting setting to try, but you can see the stone is fully impacted inside a calyx. It's not that easy, and as you're fragmenting, you can see that white kind of fluffy, infected type material being released as well. But you keep going on, keep clearing the stone, keep clearing the vision, and to be honest, because there was no blocking of vision, it did allow you to go in a lot quicker than otherwise it would have. But the angle wasn't good, and it was really, I knew that history of sepsis, I knew the ICU admission and so on. So for me, it was very important in this case to make sure I'm not just, efficient, but also with intermittent suction, decrease the pressure to hopefully minimize the risk of further sepsis and ICU admission. What you can see now, I have managed to get past that infundibulum blockade, and you can see again lots of debris inside and some stone fragments inside the infundibulum. You can see that it's another infundibulum, but now I've managed to release it. Now I'm inside the calyx, and trying to do dusting and pop dusting with that.
So I have 2 questions. Bhaskar, what did require some experience in regulating the 3 ways adapters and the performers lithotripsy simultaneously? And does the working channel to block a lot during the procedure with subsequent inefficient suction? In how
Certainly the fragment. So you can say, well, it doesn't suck fragment. That is true, but that also means it doesn't block the channel. Otherwise, you can see that does it take a little while? You do need a little bit of time to just get adjusted, but it's very intuitive, it's very quick. It doesn't need a lot of cases. Probably after 1 or 2 cases, you know how much to adjust. and then you can really get the benefit.
Okay, thank you.
As you talk about infection risk, and especially this patient, and a certain turnover of irrigation fluid, is this something that makes it possible to avoid, for example, a retail access sheet, which you might be willing to use, which you also demonstrated in certain publications? Can you avoid it? Would it be an adjunct to it? What is your opinion about that?
I think because the sheet and scoop do different jobs in my view. So the scoop, you're right. Would you completely avoid it? I think in some cases you will. In this particular case, I wanted the best drainage because the history of sepsis, encrusted stent, difficult, stent encrusted, and I didn't know what I'll find. There's a lot of dust and debris, but potentially for stones which are 5 millimeter to 1 centimeter infusing section, then and you're dusting it, then you don't need an access sheet, provided you're happy. But again, it does allow that snow globe to go away. You're not blurred with the vision. You're not worried about temperature and pressure because you're doing, and the pain is also minimized because the kidney is not distending continuously for the full length of time. But in fairness, for difficult cases, I would still probably use it. But for a lot of cases, you will not need an access sheet. But for that, perhaps a slightly better respirate fragments would also be helpful. So here you can see I'm not taking out some fragments for analysis because although you can get the dust out, you can't get the fragments out with this. And I think that's not the purpose. The purpose is to get the dust out enough to get you to keep going and keep fragmenting without worrying about other things. And that's what we achieved in this particular case. And the vision was maintained all throughout. It's a 7.5 scope, which is also an advantage. You're not using a big scope, you're using a smaller scope. But in time, I think we will be able to avoid the use of access sheets for some cases when you're using section.
So do you control the intravenous pressure and avoid the infective complications?
I think so. I think because, we know that from the studies that pressure is the main barrier for a lot of sepsis complications. And if you somehow keep intermittent suction, and you can see again, there's a lot of dust and debris again. And I've opened another blocked infundibulum, and you can see again, the dust and debris is there. With intermittent suction, you are less worried about it because I don't need to feel the need to monitor pressure even in some cases. Because continuous pressure or pressure above a certain threshold is what you're worried about. But when you're doing intermittent suction, you don't have that problem. It is not continuous, and you're intermittently actually emptying it out effectively. So here you can see towards the end, the vision is still very good. Stone is fragmented, and it is a big stone burden. Okay, cumulative burden of 40, but individually also large stones, blocked infundibulum. So actually, overall, it did work quite well. And here you can see I've come out now. I'm trying to go in and out to get the fragments out. The kidney looks good. Some fragments I normally remove them anyway, and that's my practice, just to get them completely stone-free. So some fragments I'm still trying to remove. But yeah, otherwise I think it's a very, very good armamentarium for us to have.
We were also talking about, of course, heat within the collecting system, the amount of fluid turnover you should have an idea if it's 10 milliliters per second or whatever, in order to assess your energy you are using. Do you have any idea about the turnover of fluid when you use this suction device? Did you ever look at that?
That is a good point, Christian. So you do have to have, so I normally use a pressurized bag, and for these cases I had a second pressurized bag. And you do have to go over a lot of fluid. When I say a lot, compared to what we normally use, and you have to bear that in mind. And the team needs to know, so you're not without fluid. But I don't think you need to measure it, because, again, you are worried if it was an extravasation, then you're worried about it. But otherwise, it's a normal case. In fact, if anything, because you're sucking it out, I don't think the worry, so we don't measure it. But you do need more fluid than what you would normally use in a standard case, because you are sucking out. Because syringing is a bit more, you sometimes put more pressure, less pressure. Here, it's just constantly what you are allowing the pressure to do. And just to be clear, the pressure will start with about 50, but you can go up to 100, depending on how you feel. But because you're controlling with a button, you don't get too much pressure, because then it will collapse. So one of the questions people ask is, but the system will collapse. It doesn't, you can see. System, because you are just doing it very intermittently. Enough to get the debris away, to keep things low, but not enough to obscure vision or to collapse it completely. And this is, I think, towards the end. I'm just looking a final look. The patient is stone-free. We normally get an X-ray. I didn't get a CT scan, which might be a slight criticism, but you can see here's a blocked infundibulum. Go back in again. There is no stones. When they come back, we leave a stent, which I would normally do in her case, and we took the stent out after a couple of weeks. Yeah, that's the end result. So I think, would a normal ureteroscope have given me the same result? I don't know, maybe. But definitely having a smaller scope with suction helped this case immensely. She was able to go home the same day, which is our normal practice, discharge people home the same day. I was not as worried about complications as I would be if the suction wasn't there, and it did shorten the operating time for me. So all of those things to me suggest that having this, you may not need it in all cases, but definitely it is a plus point in a lot of cases that we do, because we are pushing the boundaries with ureteroscopy over time. And as you push the boundaries, these things would be much more handy.
I totally agree. As visibility is the most important aspect for us.
Yeah.
I think there are certain cases, and I'm also aware of it in my practice, where it is really a situation where you can, in maybe some selected situations, but where you would not have this turnover of fluid, where we would have a very impaired vision on other cases, and where I think the stone-free rate or the safety of the procedure is definitely increased in this situation. So this is not evidence-based, but this is a personal experience I also have and I share with you.
Yeah.
So we will see in the future how this will
I think
translate.
the evidence gradually will come, and it will definitely prove it. So here we are just coming out, and you can see the vision is very good. This is the post-op afterwards, mixed calcium stone. And I think overall we achieved the outcome as a day case procedure, no sepsis, no complication. The next case is an even interesting case, large lower pole stone with a blocked infundibulum, and secondary to that 8 centimeter abscess because of the stone. He had a drain and a nephrostomy. The drain was there for 10 days, initially draining 800 mils, then gradually settled to about 50 mils. I wasn't sure what to do, but the only way to make it better, because the drain was to go to the stone. So normally I would have liked to wait for a little longer. I had no option because the drainage wasn't settling. The fever, etc. was better. The patient was on antibiotics. Here you will see the CT scan preoperatively. Stone, you can see both the nephrostomy in the drain and the abscess. And we decided, patient was counseled, that look, things can go worse, but I'll at least try and unblock the infundibulum. That was the idea, to go in and use again. This is a really complicated case, and having the suction scope was really quite handy in my experience to have this. So when we go in, and again, I think this is an important point. I always try and go, which has been in place for about 10 days already. The lower pole stone, you would see, is completely impacted. In the beginning, you can't even see. It's all just the mucosal overgrowth over it. And then I was stuck, what do I do? And then I decided, actually, I've got that slim scope. I can just go in and I'll try and uncover it. So you'll see gradually, slowly, I'm starting. It's a really difficult angle because the cavity is almost at a, not 180 degree, but almost like a U-turn angle, really, where the stone was. So I try to, and the only way to make it better is to unblock it. So that was the mission, to try and unblock the stone, keeping suction, period cases. What do you do? I mean, because the patient already has a drain, already has a nephrostomy. The nephrostomy is not in the lower pole because they can get it here because of the abscess. It was in the mid pole, so it was not helping the stone. Yeah. But at least there was drainage established. I don't know if there's any audience question. Please share with me if there's any other alternate you prefer. But for me, after 10 days, still draining a little, what do? You have to go in and unblock it. That's the only way to drain it.
It's possible to drain cysts, you know that, when they are blocking from the inside. So this is basically the same thing. So if it's I think if it's a short way, sometimes you can see it coming through. You can see the cyst. I don't know if it is in this case.
Yeah, you will see.
And then I would say that is a very good way to deal with it.
This is exactly what we did. So now you can see I've got a bit more leeway. It's opening up nicely. Not that easy still. You can see the infected material. And I think, again, having the suction was just, you can see I'm sucking out in between. You can make out the reverse flow. It was just a game changer for me in this case. Because as you're breaking it, as you're opening it up, you're sucking it at the same time. So the infection material is not hanging around there. Normally that will just stay there because you can't do anything else. And bearing in mind the angle is very, very difficult. So here I'm trying to get into the cavity at the bottom end, the stone at the bottom end. I'm trying to get in the cavity so I can suck it out, and you'll see that happening shortly. Sorry, Anna, you want to ask something?
Even, for example, in this case, what did you use, for example, direct endoscope suction or a flexible retinal access sheet?
No, so the thing is, for this one, I thought that suction is better because when you use an access sheet, it is only up to a PUJ, or just below, above the PUJ.
The flexible.
Even then, the angle is really hard.
It's really hard because you are experienced in flexible retinal access. So,
for this case, I don't think it would have gone there, and I don't think it would have helped. Actually, the suction scope was absolutely
it will be better because
I think so. Now you can see I'm opening up the cavity. As soon as I open the cavity, I'll go inside the cavity.
Okay.
And there's a lot of debris.
Because the angle was so
very hard. I'll show you at the end. The angle was really
Is it good?
correct. But in this case, because the abscess cavity is there, to get in would have been really hard. So in the end, I decided to take my chance. Initially, I just thought I'd unblock it, but then I got greedy. When I could get in and I had suction, I thought, why not just suck it all out to make it better? So, and that's what we ended up doing. So here you can see that I'm now making my way inside that abscess cavity. It was not easy, I tell you, because every time I'm thinking, can I make it worse? Can I put him into more sepsis? Because, you're never sure. Are you overdoing it, in such complex cases? But because of suction, I was at least happy that I'm not going to increase the intracranial pressure in this case.
Yeah.
So now gradually you can see I'm getting into where I need to be in the suction cavity. And you can see all this material. So now I'm in the cavity, inside that abscess cavity. And then I start to suck out, and you will see all the material coming out from the abscess cavity. The next challenge was that the stone is now done, mostly done. How is the patient? So I kept asking the anesthetist, is the patient stable? Do I need to stop? Because now I've done what I needed to do. I can bail out if you want and put the stent there. So here you can say I'm sucking out all the infected material now, which was a lot easier with the suction scope than it would have been otherwise. Because you can potentially syringe it, but it's a big cavity. And it just allowed, it's almost like a washout. You know how you put fluid in, suck it out, put fluid in. Almost like a washout is what we ended up doing.
Because when you have this kind of material, it's easy to suction on
it is, with the scoop. So I had to increase the suction power a little bit with this particular case. But then the fluid was going on, and you can see how beautifully it is just coming out. And this is all infection material in the lower pole abscess cavity. Once it clears up, then you will be able to see a little bit better. And in the end, the patient had a very small fragment because the anesthetist was getting a bit worried. We had almost reached about an hour, and we had decided we will not go beyond an hour in this particular case. So we had almost reached that. But again, you can see how easily I'm sucking out all that gunk and abscess, kind of pus material from the lower pole. So we decided that we'll need a stent to drain and leave everything, the nephrostomy and the drain in place. Then we took the drain out after 3-4 days, and then the nephrostomy out just last week. So, and the stent, I'll probably take it out after about 4 weeks or so. And that is it. So, I think staging was very important in this case. Planning was very important. Antibiotic cover